What's up? It's J-Way 2 here with your fresh revelation for this week. This is a special fresh revelation. If you noticed, I've been doing two a week, and I'm probably going to continue that. But this week, I want to spend some time talking about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Everybody knows who he is and what he's done and and the impact that he's had on this world and continues to have even today over 50 years since his death. He still has an impact. And I wanted to take some time to look at one of his speeches. And, I do things differently, and I didn't want to do the same speech that everybody else does. Everybody knows I have a dream, and a lot of people can quote it, and they have orations for Martin Luther King Day all over the nation. Young kids and people um, reciting the "I Have a Dream" speech. So I'm not going to go into that one, although it was monumental and it was a great, huge speech that sparked some different things happening in the movement. I want to look at a speech that you may have heard or you may not have heard, or you may know about or you may not know about. But we're going to look at it and talk about it. The thing of it is, uh, I often say Dr. Martin Luther King was a prophet, and he was. But what's interesting to me is that the same things that he continued to talk about during the civil rights movement and during the last years of his life, those things that he talked about and those things that he was quote unquote griping about are still relevant today. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And I'm leaning towards it being a bad thing because here we are 50 years later and we're still in the same position. We're still fighting for the same things. We're still dealing with the same conflicts and pressure and same attitudes. So, you know, things have changed and things have gotten better, but things are still not that utopian idea that Dr. King had. And that's what makes his speeches so relevant. And like I said, I don't know if that's good or if that's bad, but Dr. King was a master orator, and the things that he said ring true even today. Um, and as he will say in this speech that he's a gospel preacher, so he can be long winded. But I specifically picked one that wasn't so long, and I love this one because he was talking to children in this speech. And this speech was given 6 months before he was assassinated, and he took time out of his busy schedule because Dr. King was a busy man and he was all over the country doing different things. But he took time to come and speak to a middle school full of students and talk to them about life and talk to them about their worth and to really bolster them into thinking about their futures and really assuring them that they have futures. And it may seem irrelevant today, maybe not, but letting those children know and letting us know, here we are 50 something years later, letting us know that we have a future and we have a life to live, no matter the external pressures of life. And all of this flows into what we've been talking about. No matter the pressure of life, no matter who says what or who does what, or God has control of your life and your life has purpose and you have a destiny. And that's what Dr. King was talking about in this speech. So we're going to get to it. And I may stop it here and there, especially when things are very pertinent for us even today. So let's look at Dr. King's speech.
Now that I've gotten the commercial out of the way, I'll move on and say some things that I want to say very briefly. And I'm being very honest, I'm going to be brief because I have other engagements. I don't have a tradition of being brief all the time. You know, I'm a Baptist preacher, and we can talk a long time. But I'm going to really be brief today. I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now, each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Now, that means that you should not be ashamed of your color. You know, it's very unfortunate that in so many instances, our society has placed a stigma on the Negro's color. And you know, there are some Negroes who are ashamed of themselves. But don't be ashamed of your color. Don't be ashamed of your biological features. Somehow you must be able to say in your own lives and really believe it, I am black but beautiful. And believe it in your heart.
Now, what we've been talking about is your um, destiny and your purpose, and how God has created you in purpose, for purpose, on purpose, for you to live in your purpose and walk to your destiny. And Dr. King says a couple of things that is very pertinent even today. Remember who you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. God made you. God made you on purpose. And that's significant because God doesn't make anything that's unusable. God doesn't make anything that will not be great because he is a great God and he does great things and he creates great things. So always remember, I love the way Dr. King said, your somebodyness. People may try to make you feel like you're nobody, especially when it comes to skin color, or when it comes to aptitude, or when it comes to wealth, or don't worry about any of that. If remember who you are. God created you. God created you on purpose. He created a purpose for you, and he has a destiny for you. Never forget who you are. You belong to God. You're God's elect. And no matter what, God has a purpose for you, and you will reach your destiny. And don't worry about what other people say. Don't worry about the likes. Don't worry about the attention. Don't just worry about living your life that God has given you to the best of your ability. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but and I'm getting ahead of Dr. King. But always remember, you are. Reverend Jesse Jackson would say it all the time. You are somebody. And I love Dr. King's somebodyness. You should live and walk in your somebodyness because you are somebody. God created you to be somebody. God created you on purpose. I can keep talking. I'm like him. I'm a gospel preacher too. So I'm gonna let him continue to talk.
And therefore, you need not be lured into purchasing cosmetics advertised to make you lighter. Neither do you need to process your hair to make it appear straight. I have good hair, and it is as good as anybody else's hair in the world. And we've got to believe that. Now, in your life's blueprint, be sure that you have that a principle of somebodyness. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have as a basic principle the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days and the years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. And once you discover what it will be, set out to do it and to do it well. And I say to you, my young friends, that doors are opening to each of you. Doors of opportunity are opening to each of you that were not open to your mothers and to your fathers. And the great challenge facing you is to be ready to enter these doors as they open. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great essayist, said in a lecture back in 1871 that if a man can write a better book or preach a better sermon or make a better mousetrap than his neighbor, even if he builds his house in the woods, the world will make a beaten path to his door. That hadn't always been true, but it will become increasingly true. And so I would urge you to study hard, to burn the midnight oil. I would say to you, don't drop out of school, and I understand all of the sociological reasons why we often drop out of school. But I urge you, in spite of your economic plight, in spite of the situation that you are forced to live so often with intolerable conditions, stay in school. And when you discover what you're going to be in life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. And just don't set out to do a good Negro job, but do a good job that anybody could do. Don't set out to be just a good Negro doctor, a good Negro lawyer, a good Negro school teacher, a good Negro preacher, a good Negro barber, a beautician, a good Negro skilled laborer. For if you set out to do that, you have already flunked your matriculation exam for entrance into the University of Integration. Set out to do a good job and do that job so well that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. If it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures, sweep streets like Beethoven composed music, sweep streets like Leontine Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera, and sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the host of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley. But be the best little scrub on the side of the rill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are. We already have some noble examples of black men and black women who demonstrated to us that human nature cannot be cataloged. They in their own lives have walked through long and desolate nights of oppression, and yet they've risen up and plunged against cloud-filled nights of affliction, new and blazing stars of inspiration. And so from an old slave cabin of Virginia's hills, Booker T. Washington rose up to be one of America's great leaders. He lit a torch in Alabama, and darkness fled in that setting. Yes, you should know this because it's in your own city. From a poverty-stricken area of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Marion Anderson rose up to be the world's greatest contralto, so that a Toscanini could say that a voice like this comes only once in a century. And Sibelius of Finland could say, my roof is too low for such a voice, from the red hills of Gordon County, Georgia. And the arms of a mother who could neither read nor write, Roland Hayes rose up to be one of the world's great singers and carried his melodious voice into the palaces and mansions of kings and queens. From crippling circumstances, there came a George Washington Carver to carve for himself an imperishable niche in the annals of science. There was a star in the diplomatic sky, and then came Ralph Bunce, the grandson of a slave preacher. And he reached up and grabbed it and allowed it to shine in his life with all of its scintillating beauty. There was a star in the athletic sky. And then came Jackie Robinson in his day and Willie Mays in his day with their powerful bats and their calm spirits. Then came Jesse Owens with his fleet and dashing feet. Then came Joe Louis and Muhammad Ali with their educated fists. All of them came to tell us that we can be somebody, and to justify the conviction of the poet, fleecy locks and black complexion cannot forfeit nature's claim. Skin may differ, but affection dwells in black and white the same. And if I were so tall as to reach the pole, or to grasp the ocean at a span, I must be measured by my soul. The mind is the standard of the man. And finally, Finally, in your life's blueprint must be a commitment to the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. Don't allow anybody to pull you so low as to make you hate them. Don't allow anybody to cause you to lose your self-respect to the point that you do not struggle for justice. However young you are, you have a responsibility to seek to make your nation a better nation in which to live. You have a responsibility to seek to make life better for everybody. And so you must be involved in the struggle for freedom and justice. Now, in this struggle for freedom and justice, there are many constructive things that we all can do and that we all must do. And we must not give ourselves to those things which will not solve our problems. You've heard the word nonviolent and you've heard the word violent. I happen to believe in nonviolence. We struggle with this method with young people and adults alike all over the South, and we have won some significant victories, and we've got to struggle with it all over the North because the problems are as serious in the North as they are in the South. But I believe as we struggle with these problems, we've got to struggle with them with a method that can be militant, but at the same time does not destroy life or property. And so our slogan must not be burn, baby, burn. It must be build, baby, build. Organize, baby, organize. Yes, our slogan must be learn, baby, learn, so that we can earn, baby, earn. And with a powerful commitment, I believe that we can transform dark yesterdays of injustice into bright tomorrows of justice and humanity. Let us keep going toward the goal of selfhood, toward the realization of the dream of brotherhood, and toward the realization of the dream of understanding goodwill. Let nobody stop us. I close by quoting once more the man that the young lady quoted, that magnificent black bard who has now passed on, Langston Hughes. One day he wrote a poem entitled Mother to Son. The mother didn't always have her grammar right, but she uttered words of great symbolic profundity. Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stad. It's had tacks in it, boards torn up, places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time, I's been a climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So, boy, don't you stop now. Don't you sit down on the steps because you find this kind of hard. But I still going, boy. I still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Well, life for none of us has been a crystal stair, but we must keep moving. We must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, but by all means, keep moving.
Wow. Wow. I didn't want to stop it anymore. Famous last words of that speech. You can't fly, run, can't run, walk, can't walk, crawl. Just keep moving. Um, so the blueprint that Dr. King was talking about, number one, belief in self, belief in who God made you to be. Um, and then when you do something, do it to the best of your ability. Whatever God has purposed you to do, if you do it the best that you can, God will take what you do and put it to what He does. And then you will see major, major things happening. We can't quit. We can't give up. You got to keep moving. Um, Dr. King was awesome in this message, and he continues to be relevant today. And like I said, I don't know if that's bad or good. It's good in some aspects, but it's bad in some as well, because the struggle may seem like it's over, but it's not. And we have to continue to live by the principles that Dr. King was laying out, because you know the fighting, the rioting, the looting, the burning, that's not working. That doesn't work. You know, we got where we are, not by fists, not by guns, not by war, but by nonviolent protesting, by marching, by banding together and using what God has purposed you to do in His purpose. And that's how we reach our destiny. But if we start doing all of these crazy things and living these crazy ways, doing things that's not in line with God, God won't be in it. And whatever God is not in, it may appear to be successful, but it's not. Only what you do for Christ will last. And if you do whatever you do, like Dr. King said, as if God called you, He did call you. And He called you for this purpose. He called you for this moment. This is your moment. Grab it, seize it. Like Eminem said, lose yourself in the moment. Lose yourself, gain what God has given you, and use this moment. I'm trying to seize my moment now. And I hope you're doing the same, because this is your time. This is your time to walk in your purpose. This is your time to do it to the best of your ability. This is the time to march towards your destiny, but only what you do for Christ will last. This is your moment. This is your time. This is our time. This is your year. But you have to believe in who you are, who God made you to be, and walk in that purpose. Do what you're supposed to do. Do it how God says do it. Like Noah, we talked about on Wednesday. Do it exact, no matter what people say, no matter how much Dr. King said, no matter how much they try to drag you down. Don't let them drag you down. Don't become a hater. Love yourself, love others, love God. Walk in purpose. You will reach your destiny. This is your time. That's all Dr. King was telling these young kids. And he's telling us this today. And he's telling people all around the world, this is your time. What you decide now, your blueprint should be do what God says do to the best of your ability. That should be your blueprint. And when you do that, whatever inefficiencies you have, whatever you lack, God will provide when you're doing it His way and doing what He's telling you to do. So this speech is still relevant today, and that's the thing about Dr. King that I love. It's relevant in more than one aspect, in a good aspect and a bad aspect. But we can all learn from this and move forward. Let's not dwell on what has happened or dwell on where we are. Like Dr. King said, get up. Let's move. Let's work. Let's do. Let's live the life God called us to live. And then we will see our destiny unfolding in front of our eyes. God bless you. I love you. See you next time.